Wow. Yo, I honestly thought this episode was just going to mainly be Goku asking people, hey, do you want to join? Hey, do you want to join? Because for the first act of this episode, it definitely was the case. It was like Goku was trying to get people involved. And honestly, one of the things is I want to talk about the serious nature of what's about to go down because we have a universe survival with, let's put an emphasis on survival tournament coming up, right? And everyone's reaction, everyone's kind of pissed at Goku because this was all his idea to begin with. Beerus is mad, the Supreme Kai's mad, even Gohan. You know shit is bad when Gohan is upset with you. I mean, granted, they turned it into the more classic, cliche, nerdy thing of like, Otosan, and he flicked the glasses or whatever. But nevertheless, even Gohan was upset with Goku over this, which honestly, it showcases yet again that whatever happens in this tournament is partially to blame on Goku. I mean, granted, yeah, he's obviously not going to be the one destroying the planets or whatever, but if he didn't have this thirst for this tournament, this fight, none of what's about to go down would go down. So it was interesting to see people's reactions. Honestly, I wish Goku would have been a little bit more serious about this. And I mean, at first he was kind of like shocked when he found out, whoa, everybody's gonna get wiped out. Like, Beerus, all of them were shocked. But then afterwards, Goku's like, oh yeah, tournament. I wish he would have get back into like those Cell game days, like when Cell was getting ready to, obliterate people and he had the tournament coming up. And Goku, I mean, at first, yeah, he was more serious, and I guess he did go into a little bit of a relaxing thing. He's like, everything's gonna work out. So maybe that's more so what Goku's doing yet again, is that he didn't go through the whole rigorous training like when he went in the hyperbolic time chamber or whatever. He's just once again letting it rock, and we see what happens. But yet again, a lot of this is to blame on Goku. Let's talk about the art for a second. The episode, honestly, there was a lot of bits where I was like, whoa, Beerus' face is completely off. There was a scene of Vegeta when Goku was trying to convince Vegeta, and we'll talk about that in a second, but Vegeta, like, his head was weird, and he kind of looked like he'd been putting on a little bit of that baby weight. I was like, the color scheme is interesting and different, which is what this arc seemingly is embodying. The new breath of fresh air, now that they have new directors as well on the series, is like, the art design, or the character design, shall I say, they're kind of wonky, but the color palette, the color scheme is a little bit different, and I kind of like it. I think it's refreshing, but the character designs, at the very least in this episode, a couple of times I was looking at the Grand Priest, like when the Grand Priest was initially, introduced into the series, he kind of looked like, older man or whatever. In this episode, it was like, some bits he kind of looked normal, and then some bits it was like he kind of looked a little bit like a babyish thing. So I was like, and speaking of what we were just talking about with Vegeta not immediately joining. I honestly think, based on how this tournament is starting off and what we know based on the trailers and stuff like that of, all the fighters that are going to be involved for Universe 7, because remember, we've seen quite a bit of a roster, more than just what we got at the end of this episode. We had Goku, Majin Buu, Gohan, we have Android 17, Android 18, Krillin, Tien, Vegeta, Piccolo. Like, we had quite a few different people. So I'm imagining what's going to happen is, at the very least, maybe during the preliminaries or after the preliminaries, somewhere around there is when they're going to have to beef it up, because if they only got 3 fighters so far, what's going to happen? So Vegeta right now, on his being a real man, because I'm not going to knock Vegeta for doing what he got to do. I mean, at the end of the day, it's his baby's gonna be born. What the fuck? So I'm not gonna knock Vegeta as a character, as a developed character. That's development all the way, because he didn't even want to fucking hug Trunks, and now he's there like, I can't go fight. My baby's about to be born. Fuck you. So I gotta give props to Vegeta on that regard, but he will eventually. So this tournament is going to continue on for a decent amount of time, at the very least, enough to where the baby's gonna be born. Vegeta's gonna have Bulma settled, and then once he finds out, everything, he's gonna be like, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go. So there will be some breaks in between with this tournament, I believe. You gotta think though, because the place that they're doing this in has no time and space. It's kind of like the hyperbolic time chamber, I'm assuming. I don't know what's the difference in time. Is it just that nothing happens there, but time passes normally on our side or whatever? But maybe it could be that there's a time difference and they'll only be at the tournament for a little bit of time, or, it'll feel like a little bit of time there, but weeks have passed and Vegeta will be back to normal, and, the baby will be born. So maybe that's how things will progress in that regard. So there's a possibility there. Now, Gohan. Let's talk some Gohan. I love talking about Gohan. Y'all know. We have a love-hate relationship with this character at this point, from being a little kid, knocking out Raditz, fighting Frieza, fucking everything that Gohan's been through, you know, the big battle with Cell, going up against Majin Buu saying, I don't want to fight you. I want to kill you. And I'm fucking this bad bitch Videl behind me. What's up? But Gohan getting involved in this fight, I honestly thought we were going to see a little bit more of preparation. And this is what's leading me to believe, yet again, there's going to be a big break. There has to be, because even though Gohan kind of looks like he's in his mystic form, he's buff again. Ultimately, I don't know. And that first match is what's going to be very vital, because now that we know that, again, the three, at the very least in the beginning, participants is Goku, Gohan, and Majin Buu. Gohan, that first match is very vital, because if we do get a break, which would allow Tien and Roshi and all them to join afterward or whatever, Gohan would have to train, assuming he gets bodied in his match, which we still don't know. So that's something that remains to be seen and is interesting and exciting. At the very least, we already know Gohan's involved in the tournament. No more bitching out like what we had with the Universe 6 shit. That shit is done. This episode clarified that. Good shit there. And again, the first half of the episode, honestly, if it was just going to be par for the course for the remainder of the episode, the way they were doing things with just Goku asking, hey, will you be involved? Hey, will you be involved? It would have been like a 6.5 to a 7. But when we get to the second half, that's when I was like, yo, you're doing God's work, Toei. You're doing God's work, because we got to the tournament, we got shit started. Majin Buu and Mr. Satan there, which I'm glad they're keeping some of the side characters in there, and hopefully Bulma does come with her daughter, and she'll be in the ring side. Maybe again some weeks will pass in between all of this, and that's when Vegeta will get involved, because I like that they're bringing in Mr. Satan as well. That's comedic relief, and he's not going to be interrupting things, although I wouldn't be surprised if somehow news spreads to Earth about this shit, and Mr. Satan is declared the universal champion, defeating gods and all sorts of shit, and that's why he'll be in there, because you know how Toriyama's done things in the past. So that's a possibility. Majin Buu, first fight. I ain't gonna lie, I already knew, based on when Basil, which that was the first universe fighters that we seen, like, you know, we had a little silhouette of them, which that looked really badass. The whole episode as a whole wasn't looking like horrible or anything like that. It was just certain scenes where the character designs were off. So let's be clear about that as well. But when we seen them all shadowed out, Universe 9, they looked sick. And then we got Basil, one of the dog, wolf-looking motherfuckers, against Majin Buu. And again, keeping it in classic Toriyama fashion, which is, again, a big thing that I love about Dragon Ball Super as a whole, where Majin Buu's sleeping, and Mr. Satan's like, yo, chocolate, get your fat ass up and play with that dog. You're like, which, quickly to comment on the difference between Majin Buu in the Japanese and English. I'm very used to the English one. We don't really hear, especially in Super, we haven't heard too much from Majin Buu. So it is a little bit, for me, a little jarring to hear Majin Buu, because I'm used to, me gonna fuck you, and, you know, I'm used to that. And then, wow, you sound more like Marge Simpson. So it is interesting from a dub fan's perspective, even though I've been watching Super and Sub, and I'm kind of already used to it. Certain characters, when I hear them, because I haven't heard them that often, is like, oh, yeah. But getting back to the fight. Basil kicking him around, and we seen, unless they were gonna retcon some shit, and that would have kind of pissed me off, to be honest with you, and make it that Buu is just this absolute weakling, because in Dragon Ball Z, Majin Buu, well, Kid Buu or Super Buu, whatever, whichever Buu you wanna, but Buu in general was the leading antagonist. You know, he was the strongest of all the villains that they fought. You know, he came after Cell and Frieza and all of them. So I would have been really pissed, because they did that before with Beerus, because that's how they wanted to show, okay, this Beerus guy is no joke. So they had him get his ass kicked. I was like, fine, fair enough. But this one, I'm glad. That last scene is what made this episode. I was like, yeah, this is 8 to an 8.5. It gotta get the 8 to an 8.5, because when Buu gave that little grin, it was like a very cheeky little, like, cliffhanger that I didn't expect. I was like, well, he's gonna maybe get back up and get a second win and punch him or something, but just them ending with the grin, meaning that Buu is probably getting pissed off, that was interesting to know. But I'm kind of curious, because you know Majin Buu can't get pissed off. That's the thing, because he could give birth to Kid Buu, and we'll have a repetitious cycle of, you know, just having to stop Buu. So hopefully Basil isn't that strong. I'm kind of in a way counting on Basil now. I hope he's strong enough to give Buu a fight, but not strong enough to piss him off or do something fucked up, which I don't think a fight will necessarily piss him off. I think more so if Basil starts aiming at Mr. Satan and hurts Mr. Satan, that's when Buu will lose it. So that's something to note there. And as a whole, for the beginning of the fight, it was like, okay, at least Buu wasn't getting bodied on purpose. It was just kind of like, Boo's taking an ass whooping and a half, and it was nothing to him because it wasn't an ass whooping. He kind of sucks it up with his fat. So that was overall a nice way to end the episode. As a whole, the episode, great build up for the first half. It was good build up, shall I say. And then the second half just took it home with introducing all the gods. Again, some of the character designs a little bit, I was like, oh, it's kind of wonky right now, and they were kind of not all detailed as they should have been. But nevertheless, honestly, still very dope episode. I'm giving it to 8.5, fuck it. Ending of the episode really stole it, especially giving Boo some shine. Goku recommending Boo, which it's kind of hard as a fan to look at Goku and the silly shit that he's doing, because it's like on one half I want him to be as serious as he was in certain parts of Dragon Ball Z. On another half, when he's acting like a goon, a silly motherfucker, and screaming out there and going up to the Zenos and shit, I'm like, oh, which let's quickly talk about that just real quick. They're doing a preliminary so that they can showcase to the future Zeno what Goku and company can do, which, kind of wondering, does that mean anything? Is it foreshadowing? Does Zeno want to gather information? What's up with that question there? Overall, kind of curious what you guys' thoughts on the episode was. Did you think it was very good? Again, I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10. What do you think about the first matchup, Majin Buu? Are you glad that they're actually giving other characters a spotlight and a shine to, take it away from just it always being the Goku and Vegeta show? Also, do you think we're going to get a break in between this tournament, maybe after the preliminaries, to get Vegeta and all of them in there? Because again, we know from the promotional poster and the foreshadowing, even from the end of last episode, all these other characters are supposed to be involved. So what are your thoughts on that? And as a whole, are you just loving this? My fan reaction to this all is just, yeah, the end of the episode is like, okay, we don't got nothing to worry about. From here on out, it seems to be it's going to be smooth sailing, a bunch of shit we don't know, introducing new characters, and I'm hype as fuck. So yeah, real thoughts of the episode. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. Dragon Ball Super, baby. Universe survival. Let's go!